Spring Vegetable Pasties by Negin Parvizi. Ingredients. For the pastry, you need 450 grams of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 large egg yolks, 175 grams of unsalted butter, 125 ml of cold water, and 1 whole egg for glazing. For the filling, you need 400 grams of new potatoes, 1 bunch of spring onions, 400 grams of carrots, 100 grams of peas, salt and pepper. This recipe makes about 8 medium-sized pasties. Equipment. You need a chopping board, a sharp knife, a vegetable peeler, measuring spoon or teaspoon, measuring scales, a large bowl for the pastry, a smaller bowl, an oven tray lined with non-stick baking paper, a frying pan, a rolling pin, a pastry brush if you have one, and a small plate about 15 centimeters wide. Step 1. Making our pasty dough. In a large bowl, measure in your flour, baking powder and salt. Cut your butter into cubes and add these along with your egg yolks. Step 2. Mixing your dough. Using the tips of your fingers, start mixing all your ingredients together until they look like breadcrumbs. When you have your breadcrumbs, add in the cold water and continue mixing. Your dough will look dry and uneven. It's okay, it's supposed to look like this. Then start pressing the ingredients together and try to bring it into a ball. Step 3. Kneading your dough. Place your rough dough on a table and press in any loose crumbs. Now you need to knead the dough. This means using your hands to push and pull the dough to get it all smooth. This will take about 10 minutes. Your dough is ready when it's nice and smooth. It's not sticking to your hands and there are no crumbs left on the table. Step 4. Resting our dough. Place your dough back into the bowl. Cover the bowl with cling film and place in the fridge to rest for half an hour. Step 5. Preparing our vegetables. Now we can start preparing our vegetables for the filling. Wash your potatoes and peel your carrots. Measure out your peas into a small bowl. And finally, chop the heads and tails off the spring onions and give them a good wash. First, we will start by cutting up our potatoes. The skin from the new potatoes is very delicate, so we don't need to peel them. Cut your potatoes into quarters and then chop each section into little cubes about the size of your thumbnail. Now you can cut up your carrots into cubes too. Next, slice your spring onions. They should be about the same thickness as a 1-pound coin. Now all your vegetables are ready to be cooked. Step 6. Cooking our vegetables. Place all your vegetables into a frying pan. You can add a tablespoon of oil if you like, but this is optional. Add salt and pepper. When your spring onions are a little soft, you can add in your frozen peas. Cook everything together for 10 minutes, then place in a bowl to cool down. Step 7. Preparing to make our pasties. To prepare the egg glaze, place a whole egg in a small bowl. Using a fork, beat your egg until the white and the yolk are mixed. Your glaze is now ready. Now we can prepare our equipment for making our pasties. You need your oven tray, a rolling pin, a small knife and your egg glaze. You also need a glass of water and your small plate. Step 8. Rolling out and cutting our dough. Take your dough out of the fridge and flour your table. Using your rolling pin, gently roll out your dough until it's about the thickness of a pound coin. If your dough is sticking, just dust it with a little bit of flour. Place your plate on the dough and gently cut around your plate. You need about 8 discs. When you've cut out as many discs as possible, you can squash your dough back together and roll it out again. You can now cut out more discs. Step 9. Filling out our pasties. We're now ready to fill our discs with our cooled vegetables. Using a spoon, fill in the middle of your disc with your vegetables. Be quite generous, you need about 4 spoonfuls. Next, dip your finger in some water and wet the edges of your dough. You just want to gently wet it and not soak it. The water is the glue that will stick your dough together. Step 10. Closing our pasties. 1. Stretch and bring the sides of your disc together. Press gently to stick the edges. 2. Using your finger and your thumb, shape the edges of your pasty. 3. Your pasty should look like a little dinosaur. Step 11. Brushing with egg glaze. Using your pastry brush, brush your egg glaze onto your pasty, covering it all over. If you don't have a pastry brush, you can use your fingers. Place all of your pasties on your baking sheet. They are now ready to go in the oven. Step 12. Baking our lovely pasties. Place your pasties on the middle shelf in the oven. Bake your pasties at 170 degrees C for 45 minutes. Don't forget to set the timer. Your pasties are ready when they are nice and golden in color. You can enjoy your pasties hot or cold, and they're lovely with a nice spring salad. You can warm up your pasties in the oven, but not in the microwave, as they will go soggy. Store any uneaten pasties in a plastic box in the fridge. Oh. Why do we cook our vegetables? In traditional pasties, you don't cook your vegetables beforehand. You place them in the pastry raw. I prefer to cook the vegetables beforehand as they taste nicer and I can check the salt and pepper. It's also easier to fill the pasty because the vegetables are softer so they don't poke through the pastry. Finally, the pasties take a lot less time to cook in the oven, so you save on electricity. I hope you enjoy making your spring vegetable pasties. Don't forget to send in pictures of your work so I can see all your lovely pasties. Thank you.